Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the After Stangs Show here at Shug's Bagels in Mockingbird Plaza. I'm Billy Embody. With me is SMU left tackle Marcus Bryant. Marcus, thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. It's good to be here.
You guys come out and get a, opening win of AAC play. You beat Charlotte 34-16. Let's start there. How important was it to start out with a win in conference play, kind of bounce back from last week's?
It was good because we were just starting to figure out who we are, with running the ball and stuff like that. And I feel like it was just a good kickoff, and I feel like we can go win the conference championship.
When you guys were kind of bouncing back from last week, did you guys have to talk about it as a team? Kind of say, hey, we really need to focus in this week and not let last week affect this week?
Yeah, we did a lot of moving on. We fixed a little bit of stuff that we messed up last week, and we just had to get our mindsets right for the next week and move on from that.
And when it comes to the offensive line tonight, you were rotating it with PJ Williams, kind of you guys, Tyron, working that rotation. Tell me a little bit about that plan for you guys as you guys go through the season and trying to stay fresh.
It's really important because we all get banged up. We all just need to stay healthy, and rotating us throughout the game will really keep us healthy throughout the season.
When it comes to what you guys were able to accomplish tonight, you guys opened that second half with that Jalen Knighton touchdown run. How encouraging was that to see him break away for that 95-yard touchdown run?
Man, it was exciting, bro. It was like really explosive. It was really just good to see because we haven't had like a long touchdown run this year like that, and it was just really good to see and a nice start.
When it comes to the offensive line as a unit, how have you guys felt you guys have done so far this year? You guys didn't have Justin Osborne tonight, as he kind of tries to grind through that injury he's having.
I feel like we're doing pretty well. We have great practice habits. We tend to play fast and physical. Jail's battling through his stuff. I think he'll be back for the ECU game. We just needed him to rest up for this week, and I feel like we're gonna be the best offensive line in the AAC.
When we look at what you guys have accomplished throughout the first 5 games of the season, where do you feel like this team is as you guys now enter the bye? Which is crazy to think about. You go to one conference game and all of a sudden they hit you with a bye. But
yeah,
here we are.
I feel like we're growing every game. We have a little adversity with OU and TCU, but I still feel like we're growing as a team, and I feel like every game we're just gonna get better.
To have kind of a weird game kind of hit you guys today. I mean, there were, one play drives, there were short fields, penalties here and there. What's it like going through a game like that? I mean, you guys usually are around 70 plus plays. I think tonight 55 or so. I looked up at one point, just kind of one of those weird games. How do you stay focused and locked in on assignment?
You just never fold, you just never blink. You just got to keep your head down and don't really think about just sitting out for a long time because the second half I didn't really get in, so I was kind of like it was kind of like boring, but like you just got to stay locked in. So,
when you looked at SMU this season, are you guys aren't where you want to be yet, right? I mean, what do you guys have to do now that you guys go into the bye week? You've got to try and address certain things with the team.
Just focus on details, stay focused on the main goal, and that's winning the championship, and just go 1-0 each week.
And this Charlotte team, let's talk about this game a little bit more. They add a bunch of transfers, kind of like you guys in a way.
Yeah.
But that defensive line that was no joke. They kind of got pressure at times on Preston and things like that. But you guys were still able to go well over 200 yards rushing. What was that defensive line matchup like? I mean, I don't know if you could compare it, but kind of compare it against an OU at TCU. What was that kind of competition level like?
I feel like that's one of the best DNs we'll play this year. They were really good off the edge, and I just think we just got after them and made them tap out.
Billy Embody here at Shug's Bagels with Marcus Bryant, continuing our conversation. Again, check us out, the After Stangs Show, and check out Shug's After Hours. You get bagels, you get sandwiches, all those things until 2 a.m. pretty much every night of the week. And Marcus, now that you guys have gotten past this, is it kind of one of those like weights off the shoulder a little bit? You know, you don't want to let last week beat you, but now you get past it. Now you can kind of, I mean, Nelson Paul after the game was like, I'm looking forward to that massage tomorrow for the bye week.
I just feel like it was a good game, good team, and good time to go 1-0 and start off the conference. But I feel like we just gotta focus on the details during this bye week and get ready for ECU.
To go into conference play, you get 1-0. Obviously, you guys have preached that 1-0 each week mentality. But as you look back on 1-2 league play, you guys still have the conference goal in front of you going to a championship game. Was the results from conference play kind of motivating, saying, hey, we don't want that to define our season. We want to go out and let everybody know we can challenge for and appear in the championship game.
Yeah, we knew there was going to be times where adversity hit, whether it was a win or loss. But I just think this 1-0 really stamped us, and I feel like we're going to grow as a team each week.
When you got ready for this season, what were the biggest areas that you sat down and said, I need to get better at X, I need to get better at Y? Where do you feel like you have personally really grown this season?
I think I've gotten better as a run blocker. I feel like last year that was my weakness, run blocking and bending my knees and rolling my hips. So I feel like I'm starting to do that more, and it's going to elevate me as a player.
And now look ahead a little bit here and not focus on this season, but next season, SMU goes into the ACC. Kind of been asking all the guys that have come through our post-game show, what was your reaction to it, and does it impact you at all when you look ahead to a decision in the offseason maybe?
Yeah, it definitely does. ACC is great competition there, so I'll be ready to play, but I'm more focused on right now. So, I mean, it's gonna be good.
Do you talk to friends or people who aren't at SMU or around the program, and they say, "Wow, hey, that's big time," or what's kind of the reaction that you kind of got from people?
People don't really talk to me about that. A lot of people just they don't really know about offensive linemen. So nobody really talks to me about that. So
okay, yeah, all right. Well, what's your kind of bye week routine? You got your folks here. I saw them on the boulevard a couple of weeks ago. Saw them tonight. Are you going to get away and go back home a little bit? I know you got school, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's up to Mom. She right here, so I have to see. I've got to get my body back.
Playing in Texas and being so close to home, can you talk about what that experience has been like for you to have family close by? Some guys leave the state, some guys come back or whatever, but what's it been like having them with you throughout this? I mean, we were talking before the show, knowing you, I think 5-6 years now, and COVID year and all this stuff. I mean, it's been like through that to have them nearby.
Well, it's been good. I feel like I have a good support system. They come to almost every game, and I'm really happy that they can see me.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we won't see you at Ford Stadium until homecoming, October 28th, I believe the game is. So we'll see you on the road. Enjoy the bye week. Thanks so much for coming in. Marcus Bryant, SMU left tackle, stopping by a few minutes with us on the After Stangs Show, which will continue in just a second. As we go into the bye week, be sure to stop by Shug's. You're going to have time next Saturday to swing through campus in Mockingbird Plaza, pick up a bagel, pick up have you had Shug's yet?
Yeah, I'm here almost every day. So.
Okay, what's your go-to?
It's a cream cheese bagel.
Okay.
And I get a second sandwich with egg, sausage, and cheese.
Okay. Pretty good spread there. Whatever you guys want. Lox, they've got the chicken parm sandwich, they've got ranch cutlet. Check them out, Shug's Bagels. Marcus, thanks so much for coming by. Appreciate Pony Sports DPX as well for helping out with Marcus, getting him here, and we'll let him get back to it with his family. So thanks a lot for coming through. All right, Marcus. See you. We're going to continue on the After Stangs Show live here at Shug's Bagels. We'll get to some player reaction. Head coach Rhett Lashley, Jalen Knighton, Nelson Paul, as SMU defeats Charlotte 34-16. We are live here at Shug's Bagels. Appreciate Marcus for stopping in with us, taking some time. And look, this was the game that, SMU had to come back and bounce back from after that loss to TCU, and they did that. And Jalen Knighton, very emphatic when talking about it post-game, that it was an emphasis from the coaching staff that they had to step up and take this one on and get this one across the finish line, and SMU did just that.
Coach Lashley emphasized that this team is finna come to play. It wasn't no thinking that we just finna walk in and just catch an easy win. So we had to really prepare. We had to really dial in. We had to really watch film, really study, and make sure that we're on top of our details so that we could come out here and execute every play. So Coach was really on us all week, making sure that we tuning into our details and staying focused so that we don't get distracted or thinking that it's going to be an easy win. Because conference play it's not going to be easy. So every team will come to play because they're trying to get that ring too.
And he kind of mentioned that their coach said they were, I'm not sure, broken toys or something like that, but that just makes the team dangerous. They're willing to do any scheme, any plan to just try to get points on the board. And he basically emphasized it's 1-0. Doesn't matter what the record is, just take everything a step at a time and keep your head down and win the game.
So as SMU now gets into the bye week, lots of things to kind of clean up. I mean, this was one of those games that, SMU had to overcome that kind of mental mindset when you go into a game that is coming off of a rivalry game, especially a loss. You're going to have to kind of tweak your mentality and overemphasize things. So SMU has not started well in the second halves, but they have been starting better to open games, and they did just that. They went right down the field, scored a touchdown to open up the scoring when Roger Daniels caught that jet flip from Preston Stone to take it in from 12 yards out. The defense got a stop, and SMU was able to build a 27-3 lead over the next three quarters, which is what you wanted. And that was kind of emphasized again by starting strong in the second half. SMU went down and scored with that 95-yard touchdown run from Jalen Knighton to kick things off. And then they were able to kind of continue to hold Charlotte. That was a team that I think, just from talking with Rhett Lashley after the game, talking with some of the players, is a team that, with all those transfers that Koji brought in, that's just kind of a different animal than maybe that preseason pick to be last in the conference. That's why they played Maryland. That's why they played Florida hard. And that gets through this one. Kind of a dangerous team when you look at Jalen Jones, what he was able to do, at least running the football, scaring you with that 52-yard run that he had early in the game. But after that, SMU really bottled him up well. They went to their backup quarterback, Ivy. He was able to kind of get some things going, finished 10 of 17 for 170 yards and a touchdown. I think for me, this game is so hard to kind of review in a way because you get things like SMU getting a stop on the second drive and then Charlotte muffing their punt, SMU getting a 15-yard touchdown drive shortly thereafter. That changes the whole dynamic when you go up 14-0 just like that. A 95-yard touchdown drive, that's going to kill a lot of stats and things like that for other players, some of the different areas that SMU is normally adding to. And look, I'm not saying, you want a long drives just to have stat padding opportunities, but SMU ran just 61 offensive plays tonight. And Charlotte was able to control the clock too with some of those long drives in the second half. So overall, it was just kind of a weird game that SMU had to get through, and Rhett Lashley agreed.
Then again, and when you look at the film, it may be all on us. I mean, we had penalties, stopping drives on offense. We let them run the ball way too much in the second half defensively. They had two drives that they ate the clock up. They had killed us in time of possession and plays. But hey, anytime you can come away with a double-digit conference win, you're going to be happy, and we're really happy and excited going to the bye week, 1-0 in the league.
And to kind of emphasize how kind of weird this game was, some injuries popped up, obviously, for SMU. They did not have Justin Osborne, which was pretty much expected. He was pretty gimpy in practice this week. LJ Johnson, the running back, was not able to go. Brandon Crosley, who was questionable this week, wasn't able to go. But the big question mark as the game kind of got going was, where is Kamar Wheaton? We've had multiple questions roll in on our YouTube channel, as well as our ontheponyexpress.com subscribers asking us, where was Kamar Wheaton? Well, he was going to play. He tweaked his hamstring in warmups per Rhett Lashley, and he ran in there for one play, and then they subbed him out for right after that, and that was that. So, situation where he couldn't go. He tried to. He was kind of jogging a little bit on the sidelines, and then stayed off it. So Kamar Wheaton was going to play, but then tweaked his hamstring in warmup. So tough blow there for him, but at least he does have a bye week. Get right. We obviously saw what he could do against TCU, but wasn't able to play tonight. That allowed Belton Gardner to carry 14 times, 64 yards, and had a nice 23-yard run as his long. Preston Stone carried 9 times for 46 yards. He did lose some on sacks, but overall, he was able to gain 46 yards overall. But this is going to be a team that does have some things to clean up going into the bye week. The tackling continues to be something that they're going to have to get back to the basics to. As they get into that bye week, they're going to take care of their bodies. They're going to be able to rest some of these guys. But they're a team that has gone back to the basics a lot when it comes to tackling and trying to clean those things up. And the same goes for penalties. But honestly, SMU has not been a team that has really been kind of killed by penalties this season. So, and let me just say this, some of the officiating, I mean, if you're looking at SMU moving on to the ACC, one of the reasons you can be happy about that is that you can get away from AAC officiating. This is one of those games where the official couldn't even spit out what was actually being reviewed, how, why, all those things. So for SMU, some of those penalties were just bizarre. We saw the block in the back on Jalen Knighton's 95-yard touchdown run picked up when, in fact, the guy tripped and Jordan Hudson just happened to be around him. The coaching staff seemed like they were a little unsure if there was actually a lineman downfield on the play when Keyshawn Smith scored, and it was called back, and then Preston Stone threw the interception. So, look, guys, we're going to get to some of our questions from our subscribers at ontheponyexpress.com. We're also going to get to the rest of the ones that are on our YouTube channel rolling in right now. So I'm Billy Embody. We had Marcus Bryant on earlier in the show, SMU starting left tackle. He was here hanging out for a bit, talking about the game. So check that out on the replay when you get a chance to. But we are live on location, Shug's Bagels, for their after hours. After every single SMU home game, we do the After Stangs Show live here at Shug's Bagels in Mockingbird Plaza. Check them out, shugsbagels.com. We appreciate them for helping us out and hosting us here. SMU owned as well, so that's always a positive. You can check them out and get their bagels. Trust me, they're in this bye week for SMU. They don't play again until Thursday, October 12th, I believe, at East Carolina. That will give you plenty of time to go check out Shug's Bagels with the bye week next weekend. So I appreciate them for hosting us as always. But look, I get this question a lot, and SMU Giddy Up on the board asks, can you discuss Preston's arm strength? Is it a legitimate reason to be concerned, or are things just not clicking for the offense? I think for me, and one thing that I'd like to get a little bit more kind of clarity on is just when he drops back to pass, there are moments where things are timed up well, things are looking smooth. I think the bootleg game is a prime example of that. But then you get into some of these longer developing pass plays, and you struggle at times to see when he retreats and kind of buys time. And I understand, having played the position, what Preston is trying to do, where he's almost trying to set up his offensive line to pick up a block because he's going to scramble the other way, or he's going to bait the defensive lineman to keep going upfield, and then he's going to step up. But too often we've kind of seen him fade a little bit. And so I just think one of the things that kind of I'd like to see cleaned up is setting his feet and throwing. When he hit RJ Maryland on, I think it was a third down pass play in the fourth quarter, I believe it helped set up the touchdown, the final touchdown for them of the game. But it was just kind of short-armed, and there was no one around him, and he was falling off his back foot, and it was kind of a flat route. It was almost a screen. Just one of those things where it just kind of gather and just let it go. Or I don't know. I just think that those are some of the examples. When we talk about Preston's arm strength, I think he has the ability to make the throws that are required of him. And we kind of talked about this since spring. Conviction to throw it maybe a little earlier is something that on deep balls in particular, I'd like to see. I do think he has the arm strength to make all the throws. I think there are times where he retreats a little too far. Again, you got to like really rewatch and kind of compare notes because sometimes you can see things happen and you see them once or twice and you say, well, gosh, that's just killing the offense. Well, who knows? I mean, those are certain plays that might not actually have stacked up and killed the offense. There are things to work on that might not be perfect, but I don't think I don't know how to feel about it because I think some of it is just so much of hey, step and throw and make a very under control delivery when it comes to just completing a pass because sometimes it gets kind of too out of hand and things like that with some of the falling off the back foot, things like that. But just like Preston Stone, this team isn't a finished product. Get the question in, Coucham. What percentage of the full offensive package has been implemented? I don't think we've had this discussion since the June Jones era, where I think he said there's only 10% of the offense installed. But look, I think SMU has full complement of the offense, and I think some of the players they talked about this week, which were Hudson, for example, who's a friend of the program here, hasn't been able to pick it all up yet in terms of everything they want to do, but they're still working on that. That's why the bye week is huge and critical and a big opportunity for that. And look, Jalen Knighton, adamant, this team is not a finished product, and they're still ready to keep going.
Oh, you definitely right with that. We still got things that we could get better on. Like we still could get better as a unit on the offensive side and the defensive side, and on the special teams unit. We still can get better. We still got to come in like that's what I'm saying. The bye week we still got to get right because we're not complete yet. We still got little errors that we have to work on, but it still can be fixed. We got 7 more games for conference play, so we can fix it. We just gotta, on our bye week, take advantage of that. On a free week, we gotta take advantage of little things like that so that we can be complete.
So you can tell, I mean, Jalen Knighton, and he's a great interview, by the way, has been really, really good with the media. As you look at what he's been able to kind of share, you can see there's that motivation and swagger to this team a little bit. Like if you look at the Oklahoma and the TCU games, those are 2 games where I felt like SMU had that passion, had that effort. I felt like they at times kind of sleptwalked through tonight. Again, you were coming off an emotional game. You're looking at the bye week. It's right there ahead of you. You know what has all been said about Charlotte during the offseason. They're a 1-3 football team. Yes, they played some Power 5 opponent stuff, but it's human nature a little bit. But I think for SMU, they do have this motivation to be better each week, and I think that's hard to quantify. And I've been around SMU teams where they haven't finished well. I've been around one in the last decade that has finished well. And that was last season's team that finished the regular season on a 5-2 run. So it's hard to kind of pick up if you don't have exposure to it in different ways. But I just feel that this team has a different way about them in terms of how they approach getting better day in, day out. That's some of the transfers they have, and that's some of the returning players that they have. So they know they're not a finished product. I think they probably are kicking themselves, especially if you're an SMU fan looking up and seeing TCU falling at West Virginia tonight, at home to West Virginia tonight, that you let something slip through your hands. And that's why I kind of asked Marcus a little bit about that in terms of him, kind of getting that sense that, they wanted to go into league play and kind of make a statement, go 1-0 going into the bye and get past this one. And then they can kind of get on their roll. And that's where SMU has to, again, kind of start fast, keep working at the little things. Like I felt like the red zone, look, I felt like the red zone was fine this week. It'll drive you nuts that you overthink it. And Rhett Lashley talked about this in the full post-game press conference. But, Preston came over to him right after the 3rd and 1 from the 1 on that third drive where they came away with that third scoring drive, I should say, where they came away with a field goal. And he said, should have just handed it to him. And it might not have dictated that, but Preston came right over after last week where we saw him kind of pull it and get into a quandary and those things. He said, I should have pulled that. I should have handed off that football. It would have been at least 4th and 1, maybe 4th and 1.5, versus being I'm getting tackled in the backfield, and here we are because I took the loss. So it's one of those things where they just kind of keep chipping away at some of the things that they need to understand situationally. So offensively, Peach Mustang guys, offense feels clunky. Any thoughts? Also intentional grounding and roughing the passer on the same call. I didn't see that. I saw the roughing the passer. I thought Princeton got drilled the play before and kind of a dirty helmet to the back play, but they didn't call that. But they called the roughing the passer. Honestly, the officiating tonight, the big reason why SMU can't wait to get out of the AAC is officiating like we saw tonight. It was awful. It was brutal. And they can't even explain what they're reviewing in a timely manner. So I'm not going to dwell too much on penalties tonight. It was just one of those weird games. But in terms of the offense, it is – I think we've seen this throughout the year. There are so many options. But I felt like SMU was in a little bit better of a situation this week with how they kind of divvied up. And I don't have the snap counts, but it just felt like the touches. And mind you, SMU was still able to get completion 8 different receivers, one of them being the jet flip to Roger Daniels, of course. But you have this offense that has gone from double-digit touches basically every single week this season to 8 receivers. And you have Jalen Knighton being one of the receivers. So I got the feeling like, we saw a little bit of Romello Brinson. He had that one along the sideline where I think they called it that he was juggling it or something. But it was a really weird game overall offensively, but I felt like the receiver rotation, it felt a little bit more natural. Jordan Hudson, I keep saying this. They have got to get him on the field more and just let him do or die. He is a young, talented, uber competitive receiver. Just let him go and let him do what he does best. He caught a little screen on one of his receptions and turned it into a 10-yard gain. And that's one of those things that he can do because he's so explosive. And so I think Ashby McDonald on the YouTube channel makes a great point. It's always tough playing a bunch of under 500 teams or playing under 500 teams that have a bunch of good players. And Marcus and I, when we were walking in, we kind of felt the same way. Like, this is a Charlotte team that added a ton of transfers in the offseason. And we saw them play some kind of middle of the road Power 5 teams, but they played them really tough when they were literally picked basically to finish, with one win. And who knows, they might, but they don't have the talent of a one-win team right now. So FW Silver asks, what might it take for a QB change? I don't know. I mean, Preston Stone absolutely going out there and laying an egg at East Carolina and then on the road at Temple. I think they're at Temple the next week. I mean, I think we're far off from that conversation. I mean, you can look at tonight and say 135 yards passing, but you also had one drive start on the 15, you had one drive start on the 42, and you had one drive that went 95 yards on one run by Jalen Knighton. So it's a game where you're also running 61 plays. It's just bizarre. The whole game was choppy, bizarre between the penalties, field position, all those things. It was just one of those weird games. So that doesn't mean Preston's perfect. That doesn't mean there's not room for improvement. But he has to throw, in my opinion, with more conviction down the field earlier. There are opportunities to make plays down the field. I felt like the opening deep shot to Jordan Curley was a prime example. Just let it go a little bit earlier. Instead, they're making a contested play at the back of the end zone. Just lay it out there. He's still one of the fastest guys on the team. He hasn't had the season that anybody has wanted for him, but just lay it out there for him. He's got the wheels to go get it. And Danny SMU asked, is the receiver rotation causing some players to not click with the offense? Seems like only Bailey is the one who is playing consistently. So I agree with you. I thought we were going to see more of Roger Daniels this season, and tonight was a good opportunity for him to get into the game a little bit more and get those opportunities. especially the jet flip and just involving him a little bit more. He had a nice punt return. I know he had a gaff on another where he caught it inside his own 10, but still he's kind of starting to find that little bit of a niche in this offense again. But I do think the rotation is not necessarily hurting them as far as clicking, and this might not make sense, but it is hurting them in terms of getting into a rhythm and not knowing, hey, when am I coming out? When am I going to go back in? Who's up? Who's next? They have talented receivers. They legitimately have 8 guys caught passes tonight, one of them being Jalen Knighton. Well, you could swap in Romello Brinson for one of those, and you feel really good about that group and saying, yeah, that guy should probably play. That guy should probably play. Even what Romello did against OU, that I thought he was going to kind of have a coming out party after that. But you have this rotation of receivers that stays consistent, and they rotate them. They try to keep them fresh. They do that on the offensive line here or there with P.J. Williams playing a little bit more tonight. Justin Osborne's obviously out there trying to get him healthy. But there's just so much rotating going on. You're just like, hey, man, like maybe it's time to go back to just riding with 3 or 4 or 5 receivers and just saying, we're going to run you guys into the ground. Jake Bailey, Roger Daniels, slot, Jordan Curley, Jordan Hudson, Bucci Dixon, Keyshawn Smith. If I was probably doing a top 4, that would probably be it. And then you just ride with them. Some formations you're going to bring in RJ Maryland and Nolan Matthews Harris. You might have Stone Eby out there. So just kind of that, if you were going to whittle it down, that's how it would happen. And I think it might help. So that is one of the things that is kind of a tough situation for SMU to be in overall when it comes to figuring out what to do with all these receivers and how to keep them happy. It's not the passes; it's almost the snaps. So it's a very interesting scenario, kind of there to go with. We'll finish this up on the team side of things. We'll touch on a little bit recruiting, and then we will get you guys out of here. But I'm Billy Embody. We're here at Chugg's Bagels in Mockingbird Plaza. Here after every single home game, broadcasting live. We'll have a player here with us each post game. And then we do it from the comfort of my own home, the After Stangs Show, when SMU is on the road or from a stadium near you. Peruna Cox 22 on the Pony Express message board asks, how do you feel about the defense's future, losing some big pieces on the line and some big pieces in the secondary? He's talking about losing David Levelston, Elijah Chapman, and they are losing Nelson Paul, and they are losing Jordan Miller. Elijah Roberts has another season, and then they're losing Charles Woods, Chris Megginson, and Jonathan McGill in that secondary. And actually, McGill has another year. It's Brandon Crosley. I always get this screwed up, but it's Brandon Crosley who's out of eligibility. So in terms of big picture, I think this is a defense that you're going to see them continue to reload with the transfer portal. SMU has crushed it with NIL. And that is why this defense is playing as well as it is. Tonight, they were able to hold them to 331 total yards. Their yards per play, can't find it on this little sheet right here, but I'll look it up for you guys. SMU was able to – they'll move up again in total yardage allowed, total defense after playing Charlotte. And they allowed 2.5 yards per play. And that defense, I think, as Scott Simons has settled in, and we talked about it in the offseason, this is a group that you could not accurately assess last season because they needed such an upgrade in talent, and they did not have any depth. So you bring back some key pieces. They have some young talent that's coming up. They're going to continue to build in the transfer portal on both sides of the ball. They're going to have to find defensive linemen, and that will determine how honestly I feel about it going into 2023. The good thing is, for just $1 for your first month, you can get on board with onthepuddingexpress.com, and then $10 a month from there on out. And the transfer portal window will have you covered with all the inside scoop on who the Mustangs are going after. So, shameless plug there. But that leads into this. Any insight on how some of the visits are going so far this weekend? SMU is hosting one of the top prospects in the state of Texas for an official visit, and that is Derek McFall, who's actually committed to UCLA, all the way out in Los Angeles, is where he's currently committed to go play his college football. And Derek McFall is a guy that SMU slowly and quietly built a relationship with over the last couple weeks and months since he committed to UCLA, which, by the way, he never visited LA before making that decision. But here we are. Welcome to high school recruiting. The 4-star prospect is on the verge of being a top 10 athlete in the entire country. He's knocking on the door of being a top 300 prospect. The 5'10", 185-pound senior from Tyler, Texas, is on SMU's campus this weekend with his entire family. Keenan Hall is leading the way on that recruitment, trying to get him locked in to flip over to the Mustangs. So we'll be keeping a close eye on Derek McFall. Be sure to check back on Sunday for more on his official visit and where things stand for the Mustangs. But big official visitor on campus. We'll have more recruiting notes as well for our ontheponyexpress.com subscribers. So check those out. We are still awaiting big recruiting news that we hinted at on the site a couple weeks back. It is still a go. And Rhett Lashley even referenced it. He's expecting more guys to jump on board here soon. So with that, guys, we're going to wrap up this edition of the After Stangs Show. We're live at Shokes Bagels. Shutting it down, though. Check out After Hours. Go to shokesbagels.com. You can order online, pick it up, or you can order delivery as well. So appreciate them for always having us and shutting this one down. It's the bye week for SMU. They go into it 3-2 overall, 1-0 in AAC play after a 34-16 win in Ford Stadium against Charlotte. So appreciate all you guys listening. Hit the subscribe button to our YouTube channel and look for this on your podcast platforms after we upload it. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll catch you next time on the next After Stangs Show with ontheponyexpress.com.